All praise and thanks is due to Allah. We praise Allah. We seek assistance and forgiveness from Allah. And we seek refuge in Allah from our lower selves and from the wrongs that we sometimes commit. And have they not travelled in the earth and observed what was the conditions of those who lived before them? And indeed, in the final destination, it is better for those who are Allah conscious, and do they not reflect? So, what I want us to reflect upon today is, why is the Quran, when we look at the Quran, there are so many stories and parables of journeys, different kinds of journeys. So journeying in Islam becomes important. Even the last pillar of Islam is about a journey. And the reason why we do these journeys is so that we take the reflection that happens on that journey with us. Okay? And so we know when we are on Hajj, there's the reflection of Nabi Ibrahim, Hajj with her child. And what is the significance of those stories in our daily lives? Right? So there's that kind of reflection that happens. But life in itself is made up of so many different journeys. The mere fact that we're here as spiritual beings having a physical experience is one journey itself. So therefore when somebody passes on, we say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. From Allah we come, and unto Allah we return. That's our final journey. So we've also spoken previously about attachments that we make to this earth, right? So sometimes on those journeys we acquire possessions and we get attached to those possessions, and that attachments that we make is what makes us forget about that ultimate journey, which is back to Allah. Then we also have the journey of our stages of development, physical stages of development. You go from your mother's lap into society. You go from being a toddler into adolescence, from adolescence into adulthood, and from adulthood into old age. And within those particular journeys, there are also lessons for us. And we know sometimes, for those who've done the iPad, if your first relationships and on your first journeys have been tarnished, it does affect the other journeys that you take afterwards. So and then we go back. Some people say, no, but I don't want to go back to my past, I've done that, I've been there, whatever. Sometimes it's good to go back and to reflect. What was my journey like in the beginning? Because when we have those reflections, that's what you take with to continue with your other journeys. And then a very beautiful thing that the Quran says, it says, فَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. So the Quran actually encourages us to increase in anything, but Allah says, فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. But the best provision to take for yourself on a journey is your taqwa, is your Allah consciousness. So previously also we were saying about Allah consciousness. It's not about being aware of somebody that sits on a throne and ready to give punishment. But Allah consciousness is that vertical relationship that we have with our Creator. We know where we're coming from, we know where we're going back to. And that horizontal relationship that we have with the creation of Allah. Like Allah says, تَفَكَّرُوا فِي خَلْقِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تَفَكَّرُوا فِي اللَّهِ. That we have to contemplate not on Allah, but if you want to know Allah, contemplate on His creation. So similarly on our journeys also, it's about what is the quality of our relationship with each person and each thing or each creation of Allah on that journey, which is important. And through that we develop Allah consciousness. So Allah consciousness is not in a corner in Musalla, it's your engagement with society. Like the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also said that if you want to know your relationship with Allah, right, find out what is your established relationship with humanity. So therefore we are also reminded in Islam that Allah can forgive you for not having prayed or having fasted, because these are, we've learned they are only tools for us. But Allah can't forgive you for the relationships that you had with the creation of Allah. That will have to be a hisab, an account between you and the person. Right? So therefore those relationships become very important on your journey. Then Allah says, has there been immediate gain and an easy journey? They would certainly have followed you, but the distance was too great for them. And yet they will swear by Allah, had we been able to do so, we would certainly have set out with you. They are destroying their own selves, for Allah knows indeed that they are lying. So this story comes from a time when the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was kind of feeling alone on his journey, and he was looking for people to help him with his mission. And people will say, yeah, we'll come, we support you, but they didn't really support the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And so Allah says that, they're trying to fool the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but they're really just fooling themselves, because Allah knows that they know. So nobody is going to get out of life without going through challenges. And sometimes we perceive these challenges as Allah testing us, or why is Allah doing this to me? But really, if we look at it, there's compassion and there's mercy within that. And so these journeys, they're not easy journeys, right? If we remember those different levels of spiritual development, most people don't go further than the path of tariqah, right? Because it's difficult. At that point, you have to give up the ego, for example. And we're not ready to do that. So that's the kind of difficulty we're talking about on our journeys. Sometimes the very same journeys or the actions we need to take are the ones we are avoiding because it brings about too much pain. Yet these are the very same journeys we have to undertake in order for us to receive what it is that we want. So we need to actually stretch that muscle where when you know something is difficult for you, to actually say, this is the blessing. I'm going to take the challenge and actually plunge myself into it. Like the Quran says, it is possible that you dislike a thing which is good for you, and it's possible that you like a thing which is bad for you. That's just human nature. We want the easy way out. Okay? Allah says that there where the difficulty lies, there where the thorns are, that's where you have to go. There's your blessing. All those journeys that we make in our lives, they all come to an end. Because Allah says the final journey is towards me. Right? So therefore that taqwa, that Allah consciousness that you have to take with you is important as a provision for that journey. So when you're on that journey, you will notice that the universe keeps on throwing the same things at you, right? Or you keep on doing the same mistakes over and over. And that's the blessing in it, because the universe is being kind to you. The universe is trying to help you and point out to you that something is inauthentic. Then Allah says, have they then never journeyed about the earth, letting their hearts gain wisdom and causing their ears to hear? Yet verily it is not their eyes that have become blind, but it is their hearts that are within their breast. So another point of journey, in fact the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, one of the saddest things for a person, for a musafir, for a person who journeys, is when he went to a place and he hasn't observed. So the reason for you to journey is to actually observe what is Muslim life in Iran, for example. What is it like in Canada? What are some of the struggles that people are having in Africa? When you go on Hajj, these are the kind of things you have to be aware of, because different nationalities and different temperaments that come together in one space, right? So there's an observation that needs to happen. So the saddest thing is that that observation didn't happen for you. And we're now not just talking about your physical journeys, but we're also talking about, your life decisions, your journeys that you go on personally. What reflections have you gained over the years? And to how many a community that was immersed in wrongdoing have I given power for a while, but then I took them to task, for within me ends all journeys. So be sure that on your journey you will be tested. Yeah? Allah says in the Quran, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Allah says, be sure that on your journey you will be tested with fear, you will be tested with hunger, with loss of life, with loss in your property. But give glad tidings to those who, when a challenge comes to them, they say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. From Allah we come, and unto Allah we will return. So there's a recognition that no matter what happens to me on all my journeys, my final destination is towards Allah. فلما جاوزوا قال لفتاه آتينا غدانا لقد لقينا من سفرنا هذا نصبا. And after the two had walked some distance, Moses said to his servant, bring us out our midday meal. We have indeed suffered hardship on this journey. So again, another physical example of Nabi Musa and his companion who was traveling through the desert and at one point had to stop because they felt that they needed to sustain themselves with their lunch. So what does it mean for us in our daily lives, in our journeys? There comes a time in your journey where you have to stop. You have to take stock of, how much of ground have I covered? Am I still in the right direction? Right? Have I still got enough provisions for the rest of my journey? So that kind of pause in your journey is important. And one can also interpret it as a celebration. Right? You've achieved something, you stop, you celebrate what you've achieved, and then you move on. And the final thing that I just want to mention is one of the important things about journeys within Islam is the Hijra. The journey that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam took when him and his followers were persecuted in Mecca. One of the first things that he did was he made sure that all the Muslims had left Mecca, and him and Abu Bakr were the last to leave. The first stage is, and you can apply this to any part of your life, any journey of your life. The first thing is conceptualization. You need to know what it is that you want to do. So you've got something, you can deliver it, right? You can invite people towards it, right? That's the expansion. And you come back and you consolidate. And then there's the striking thing that happens when the universe just throws that thing in, which is the Hijra. Whether it is a difficult relationship that you are in, whether it is a job that you're questioning, whether this job is fitting in my purpose, or anything, right? You have to take that moment of Hijra so that you can go back and you can reflect. And then after the Hijra, you come out and there's the active engagement, right? The active engagement for the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his companions were the jihad, right? They went out and they spread the message of Islam. So what the Hijra brings, it brings clarity. Right? It gives you a new sense of direction and purpose in life. It gives you that energy to continue again. Right? Because for those of you who have already experienced that kind of Hijra, you will know what I'm talking about. And it gives you that faith and trust in Allah. It just increases that. And it's like Allah wants to gift you with that so that you can continue with the rest of it.